now that we've been online for probably a good couple months now, everybody is starting to feel a little confident with the whole online thing, but burnout's starting to creep in. The students are needing something different. They're kind of ready for school to be over. Parents are burned out for so many different reasons.
Yep.
So it's that time to really start mixing things up and doing something different. And I don't think it's never too late to mix things up. It doesn't have to be anything, a big, huge, full-fledged camp. It can be a mini camp or a workshop that could be done.
Well, hello teachers. Welcome back to the Topcast, the official Music Teachers podcast. You're listening to episode number 191 and a very special welcome to my Top Music Pro members. How is everyone going? We're in a very unusual time of the world, of course, but depending on where you're living, some things are starting to get back to normal, which is very exciting. So I hope you're okay wherever you are. I know teachers in the United States are starting to look towards summer break, which is why today's episode is really important. Others of us here in Australia and New Zealand, we're bedding down for winter, but we're also being allowed to start being released from lockdown, which is very exciting. So wherever you are in the world, I hope things are going okay for you. I hope the resources that you found online regarding online teaching and marketing and all those kinds of things have been helpful for you, and look forward to hearing how things go in the next couple of months. In today's episode, we're hearing from one of our Top Music Pro expert teachers, the wonderful Jennifer Foxx, who many of you will know, as she leads the way on online summer camp programs. We're actually calling them music camps after this episode because this doesn't have to be related to summertime at all. You can actually run these anytime during the year. And even if you're in Australia or other countries where summer camps aren't part of the culture like it is in the United States, don't write off this episode, as these ideas can work during any holiday period, particularly when students may still be in a lockdown state. And indeed, a few episodes ago last year on the podcast, we had some Australians talk about their summer camp programs that they're running here. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily just relate to summer or the United States. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a few different things, particularly about how to convert summer camp programs and ideas to work in an online situation. And if you haven't already got a summer camp program, we'll talk about why these are really important for your business, particularly in today's climate, and also how they can contribute to your students' learning outcomes and continuation of practice and things like that. We'll also talk about how you can build programs from scratch and also where you can go to buy them, because we're obviously running close to summertime and summer breaks in certain parts of the world, in the Northern Hemisphere certainly. So sometimes just grabbing a done-for-you program or theme or camp curriculum can be a really great way to go to save you lots and lots of time. Jennifer in this episode is going to tell you exactly what ideas and themes work best online, and we'll tell you what she's created for her students and how she's been able to create and disseminate that, and what she thinks about different themes and approaches that you can use that work really, really well. Today's show notes and full transcript are available as always at topmusic.co/episode 191. Now, a quick reminder too, just before we get started, that my new course about teens and transfer students, it's called my Teens and Transfer Students Teaching Toolkit, has now launched inside Top Music Pro membership. And this is going to be available at the very special price of just $10 for the first month due to our COVID-19 promotion. If you are listening to this in May 2020, then you're able to join us on that very special discount for your first month and get full access to all our programs, discounts, and courses. The Teen Teaching Toolkit is designed to help you with your approach to transfer students and teenagers, both beginning and also ongoing students, how to teach them, the kinds of repertoire in particular that really resonates with them, and also some important things about just your general approach and also goal setting, which is really, really relevant and important too. So just head to topmusicpro.com if you haven't already done so and jump in and join us. So my guest today runs a successful piano studio in Arizona and is passionate about helping colleagues in their own journeys as well. When she isn't teaching, she enjoys blogging and creating digital resources online at musiceducatorresources.com, and now the Top Music Marketplace, which you're going to hear more about later in this episode. Welcome back to the show, Jennifer Foxx.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So you're actually back when the podcast, I think, was 2 names ago. It wasn't the Creative Piano Teaching Podcast. I think it was Tim Topham TV, the very first name, back in episode 38, around April 2016. You came on to talk about running your first summer camp. And today we're going to be talking about running your first online summer camp, given the situation, how times have changed, right?
Yes, crazy.
Um, and you were also recently on a panel with the Francis Clark Centre, one of their webinars, talking about this same topic with some other teachers. So you've become somewhat of a specialist in this area, which is why I'm so excited to talk to you about it, because I know that you're my go-to person when I've got questions about summer camps. So let's just start with the basics. Why do you run summer camps in your studio?
Well, when I first started running summer camps many years ago, it was basically to find a solution to a problem. That's usually how most things I start begin, is finding
Yep.
that solution. And that solution that I was looking for at the time was just maintaining my summer income while allowing families to still take their much needed break. Because I understood how important breaks were. I needed my breaks, and I knew
Absolutely.
they needed their breaks, and so it was a perfect way to just have that win-win. So we both were able to get it, but I wasn't losing out on that income that
Right.
I need.
So there was a two-sided problem. Kids, you wanting to keep your income somewhat consistent through that 2-month summer break.
Mhm.
Secondly, wanting to obviously hope that your kids don't all drop off a cliff with their practice and come
Right,
back a year ago's ability level, right? And that happens
right.
all the time. And so I guess it's a bit of a fine line when it comes to practice. As you say, you do want them to have a bit of a break, but you want to keep them engaged as well. So, and that's where some of your ideas and the ideas we'll talk about today come in. Do you
Mhm.
think what's the bigger one for you as a teacher? Is it more about that consistency of income, or is it about the learning outcomes, or can they both work together really well?
I think they're pretty equal. Just some other benefits of holding camps is being able to teach things that you just don't normally have time to teach during that weekly lesson. And you could do that in the group format. So it's like, boom, you're getting all this, teaching in a nice big group. And the kids enjoy the social aspect of it. They make friends and it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just mention too up front that while we're talking about the Northern Hemisphere, summer camps is obviously a big cultural thing in the USA. It's not something that's quite so popular down here in Australia and other parts of the world. But I see no reason why it couldn't be part of any teacher's holiday period. We have 2-week breaks all through the year and then a big 6-week long summer break in December for us, January. So just because we're talking about summer camps coming up, don't feel that it may not apply to you, because you can use these ideas at any time of the year if you'd like to.
Yeah, I like to basically they're music camps because I even do them at Christmas time. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
Yeah, that may be a better term. Maybe I should start calling them music camps. And
yeah,
Jennifer, I was also a little bit worried, as you know, when I contacted you about this, that we might have missed the boat for summer camps this season, because normally you'd be planning this when April, probably for a July camp.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually that's when I get the information out.
Yeah, but you said, no, no, no. These are special times we're in now. So tell us why you think this is still relevant today.
Yeah, so normally these things, yeah, we plan them more in advance, but I really don't think it's too late this year because a lot of people are feeling a little behind anyway. They've kind of had their everything just
World's turned upside down.
yes, exactly. And so now that we've been online for probably a good couple months now, everybody is starting to feel a little confident with the whole online thing, but burnout's starting to creep in. The students are needing something different. They're kind of ready for school to be over. Parents are burned out for so many different reasons.
Yep.
So it's that time to really start mixing things up and doing something different. And I don't think it's never too late to mix things up. It doesn't have to be anything, a big, huge, full fledged camp. It can be a mini camp or a workshop that could be done.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's probably valuable thinking about this as it could be that your students come and meet you online for 2 hours of one
Right.
day. I mean, it can be really super simple, can't it?
Yes.
So, what are the options? Let's just talk about duration and like structures for camps. What do you tend to run?
So when I have an in-person camp, my camps can go as long as 4 hours in one setting. But for online, you do not want to do that.
Right.
My suggestion is kind of think of it as how long would a kid sit there and watch a movie?
Yep.
So it's typically an hour and a
Hour and a
half is
half.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
is that nice little sweet spot.
Yep.
So between an hour and a half is usually what you kind of want to think about as far as when you're planning your camp. So if you have, say, like you planned a 4-hour camp, you could separate that into 4 separate days for an hour, or you could do 3 days for an hour and 20 minutes. And I think it would be perfect timing, keep them engaged because you don't want to have them sit there playing on their phone
Mm.
while you're online doing things.
Yeah,
Uh,
keeping up that engagement would be
yes.
a bigger challenge. That would be one of the biggest differences, I imagine. Can you
Mhm.
still work off the bench and multiple activities rather than just sort of watch me on the screen?
Yeah. So the biggest difference right away for live versus online is you don't have those physical activities like the relay races that you might want to do. Or, for example, last year also I had we did stop motion animation for a
Oh,
camp.
cool.
It was very fun, but that's not one I necessarily would probably do online. It could be adapted a little bit, but the experience we had collaborating together and working on lighting and just that different thing, it works so much better in a in-person thing.
Mm.
There's other camps that work perfect for online. So this year I'm doing a practice camp on that kind of setting when we're going through practice tips and all that kind of stuff. Works great for online. You could do blues on improvisation or lead sheet reading and anything like that you want to do, but you just again don't have time for normally.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at music camp ideas is what is all that stuff that you never get time in lessons to do, but you really want to do?
Hmm.
Why don't you block that together over a series of online sessions with your students? And so things like I'm thinking as like you are chord work, songwriting, composition, garage band, backing tracks, creating little orchestral scores with garage band, blues, all those things. They can
Hmm.
work really well. I would have thought.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And when you do your summer camps in person, you said you would have them for 4 hours in person. How many days do you run? You do 5-day program, 4 hours a day, and then you do that a couple of times with different groups, or how do you work it?
So my camps vary between like 4 to 8 hours. I call the 4-hour ones more workshops because they're shorter.
Hmm.
And so what I've learned over the years is families want to come to you in the least amount of days possible.
Okay. Yep.
That's what I've learned over the years.
Well, yeah, you don't want to spread it out because they might want to go on holiday for a period of that
Right,
time. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so, because when I first started camps, and this is like 25 years ago, I would have them come 2 hours a
Sorry,
day.
25 years ago, you did your
Yeah.
first summer camp. You look so young, Jennifer. You're amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's how old my son is.
Right.
It's crazy. um, anyway, so when I first started them, I would do tars a day every day for 5 days. So they would
Mm.
come every single day for a couple hours, and then, like I said, as years went by, just families get busier and busier, and so. And in Arizona, where it gets really hot in the summer, they just want to escape the heat.
Mm.
And so I've learned that they just want to get it done and move on.
Right. Okay. So you'll do 1 or 2 days,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no more than 3.
got it. Okay, that's
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 my
good advice. Yeah, and I
mhm.
mean we're in a different situation at the moment, I guess, because there will be some states and countries which are still locked down during some of this period, and
Right.
so I imagine parents will be potentially looking for things to do during
Yes.
this time with their kids. I've been loving when my two are having their music lessons. It's great. So we can definitely keep that in mind. This is going to be a bit of a different situation to perhaps when things go back to normal, how things will look. But that's why I
Right.
wanted to talk about this as an online thing. Can you see any advantages? I mean, it's easy to think about the negatives of having to be forced to go online. Are there any advantages, in fact?
Yeah, I the advantage is basically, you have different options of working through the camp. I mean, first of all, you mentioned parents might be looking for more things for their kids to do, so it
Mm,
could be an added income for you. In addition, if you want to keep doing your regular lessons, it could be, of course. needing to take that break and being able to and still maintaining your income, help preventing that burnout just by mixing things up. This is the time of year where students and families are thinking, do they want to continue lessons or do they want to quit? There's
Mm,
nothing new. The online thing does not change that at all. This time of year is the natural time where they think about this.
right.
And so you want to be able to provide something a little bit different to regenerate that excitement and get it going.
And you're going to give us some ideas shortly about what you can do online.
Mhm,
But before that, too, I think teachers have got two options here. You could either build something completely from scratch yourself,
mhm,
and there's plenty of resources online to help you do that, or you could actually buy a tested curriculum. And
mhm.
we'll talk about those options too. You've obviously created lots of these yourself, so you know that. What are the advantages and pros and cons of those two ways of going?
Okay. So the pro to building a program on your own is creating exactly what you want to do with your students. The con is it is time consuming.
Mm.
And you just have to kind of see where it goes and how it goes.
And yeah, things might not work that you thought
Right,
was a great
exactly.
idea, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also bought a ready-made curriculum, so the pro to that is it's a huge time saver, and the con is that you may not find that you want to do everything that's provided in the curriculum, or you might wanna adapt, which is okay. Every time I've bought a curriculum, I've always had to adapt, what works for me, and so that's, not a big deal because it's still saving a ton of time.
Mm. Yeah, definitely a big advantage there.
Yeah.
So let's talk through some of these ideas because you're so creative, and I love seeing the things that you put out and share with teachers. So you've got some ideas around, particularly around practice. You've said that's a theme that can really work well, and
Mhm.
I know that these ideas you've mentioned to me personally that they work either in a summer camp program or they can work just as a practice incentive or motivation for your students during the break.
Mhm.
So, should we talk through some of these summer practice ideas that we've got that teachers could try?
Sure. Yeah, one of the things that I like to do in addition to camp that also can earn more income
Yeah, we always like these.
is
Go for it.
is what I call summer practice packets. They've been a huge win in my studio. I started offering this, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And what it started out with is I would say, okay, you can sign up for a camp, or you could sign up to receive a practice packet, or for an added fee, you can get both. And what a practice packet is, it's a digital packet, which means it's a set of video lessons. So I've had practice packets that have been from like 4 video lessons all the way up to 8 video lessons. In addition to the videos that they get, they also include their sheet music. I always purchase studio license music or subscribe to studio license subscriptions. And this year, what I'm doing with my students is I subscribe to Daniel McFarlane's program, Supersonics Pro.
Hmm.
And so the students have an account where they can just go in and grab their music. They can practice inside the app through the digital player. So it works out really well. So that's the music they'll be doing this year in their practice packet because they're going to get a practice workshop and a packet. And then I also like to include some kind of fun thing like a practice game or chart or worksheet, some kind of supplemental fun.
Right. I love the sound of this because it's something that teachers can prepare themselves and
Mhm.
then share and sell with their students without having to dress up and put makeup on and get on videos every day.
Right.
Like that, right? So this is a great advantage. Just speaking for myself, of course, with how I prepare for my videos. So the effectively what you're providing the student is ongoing lessons during the break. And so they could
Exactly.
you expect them to watch, let's say there's 8, they would watch one a week for the 2 months, 2 weeks break, 2 months break or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
and it gives you a nice little break.
Yeah. So it's kind of
Yeah,
teaching without having to teach. I
right,
like the
exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, it would take some preparation time
Mhm.
to record the videos, but it's pretty much you sitting there and teaching as if you would with them live. Here's your new piece. Here's where I want you to start. And next week we'll go on and do this, and then we'll go. And by the end of the program, they've hopefully taught themselves a piece.
Right. Yeah, and another nice thing about it too is say like you have 20 students to give these to, you don't need to make 20 times
Mm,
4 times 8 videos. You divide them into levels, and so an elementary level goes to 5 students, a really intermediate goes to 8 students, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's a super, super cool idea. And have you tried this in an online format before? Or is
Hmm.
this all new? Yeah.
Well, this would be recorded, so it doesn't happen
It wouldn't be a
live.
live version anyway.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've offered this alongside your in-person summer camps before.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay. And so now, is this the main thing that you'll be offering your students?
Yeah. So this year, they're going to get a combination between the practice workshop and the practice packets.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll just get this just for my own clarification. The practice packets is the bundle of lessons that they can do and the
Right.
access to the sheet music, etc.
Hmm.
What was the other one? The workshop.
The
What was the
workshop.
workshop?
The
That's a different
workshop
one.
is teaching them practice tips, how to practice, going through. I'm a huge fan of Philip Johnston, so
Mm,
I go through his, little
practice
things
revolution
that could
kind
go
of
wrong.
stuff.
Right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So
And so
yeah,
that's just a one-off 1 hour or something like that you want the
that
students
one.
to watch.
When I do it live, it's usually for about a 4-hour workshop.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how have you presented that for the online version?
So this year I am doing a recorded version of it. So everything, I'll be recording the workshop and the packets, and then they'll be getting the recordings to do on their own time over the summer. But
Right.
that one can also be done live, super easy.
Mm. Yeah, I'm wondering if the practice packets I'm wondering if I'm a sort of 14-year-old kid, or maybe if I'm locked inside, it probably is different. But am I going to want to watch a practice workshop?
Well, that's why you have to make it to that level.
Right. Okay. So you'd have to make it super engaging and relevant.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've
Right.
done
Yeah.
practice packets for the little ones that include little stories that go along with them and things. So
Got it. Yeah, it makes sense. And you
yeah.
mentioned Daniel. I'm a big fan of Daniel McFarlane's Supersonics piano. And the
Mhm.
great thing is that the player that comes with his music, so the kids can read the music on their devices,
Yes.
and they can change the tempo and they can listen to the backing track while they play. Right?
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. This is what I
Yeah.
remember from last time I looked at it. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
which is a great engaging tool. Do you pay for that, or is that organized in the fees that they pay you for this?
Yeah, I pay for it. So it's a membership. So I'm subscribed to the pro membership, which includes that. So it allows students to be able to go in and access what I want them
Right.
to.
So you pay for your pro membership and the students are
Mhm.
able to access on their devices
Right.
without paying more.
Mhm.
Fantastic. What a great
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. So supersonicspiano.com, little plug for Daniel.
Mhm.
Nice work.
This episode is proudly supported by my newest course, the Teen and Transfer Teaching Toolkit. Do you sometimes struggle with teenage students? Are they hard to find music for? Do they sometimes lose interest quickly? And maybe they don't want to get involved in recitals and you just don't quite know how to approach things? Well, I've put together 20 years teaching experience into this new course in order to help teachers connect and inspire all their teenage and transfer students. Over 8 modules, we'll cover all the basics about your approach. We'll then go deep into repertoire that teens love because that's a huge challenge for lots of teachers, including myself. And then we'll cover lots of information about the importance of goal setting and what milestones to aim towards. Then we'll unpack the first lesson with a beginner teen and then how to approach their ongoing lessons. I'll give you handouts of interview questions to ask before they start and then what to do step by step in lesson 1. Then we'll look at the first lessons for transfer students, where I'll give you a complete diagnostic checklist to help with the hardest question of all. What does my transfer student actually know? You'll be able to download that and use it with all your transfer students from now on. And we'll then wrap it up with a look at my favourite technology for teaching teenagers. This will be a life-saving course for many frustrated teachers around the world, and it's available right now as part of Top Music Pro membership. Join us today and get full access at topmusicpro.com.
So I think you mentioned something about buddies as well. Summer practice buddies. Do you connect together or something?
Yeah. So this is something I'm also adding this year to supplement the practice workshop. I'll be dividing students into similar age and levels inside Tonara, which is an online
Oh,
practice
cool.
platform app.
As soon as you said connecting kids as buddies, I thought
Uh-huh.
Tonara, you have to be using Tonara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tonara allows you to chat with students and they can chat with each other. So you can create chat groups.
Mm.
So I'll be creating practice buddy chat groups with students of similar levels and ages. And then so during the summer, while they're learning their pieces and their practice packets, they can encourage each other, share with each other. And the nice thing about the chat groups too is you're always a monitor in there, so you can make sure that
it's
things don't
appropriate.
get out of hand.
And you can jump into any one of those groups and say, okay,
Exactly.
you need to watch this week's video, or this is the task for this week, and why don't you share your 10 seconds of you playing this, or like you can do all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of that. And Beth Horton's coming on the podcast really soon she's you know Beth in Texas. She's a superstar and is going to go into more detail about this. But I'd just love to remind all my Top Music Pro members, and Jennifer's one of our expert teachers. Thank you very much for all you contribute to our membership. All our Top Music Pro members get 25% off Tonara ongoing. That's a great deal. So make sure you grab that discount if you'd like to try this out. And if there's one thing that I've seen work really well with the app, well, the two things actually. One is that group chat for students to be able to connect with each other, particularly during this isolation period that we're all facing. Secondly, it's the leaderboards, the practice leaderboards. Even my two at home, who both practice two different instruments, are trying to get to their own level in our two-person leaderboard here. Do you use the leaderboard function?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like anything, some students are really into it and other students could care less.
Yeah, right. Just depends whether you're that competitive type, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about pricing your online camp program. How do you go about working out how much to charge? This must be tricky.
So I always have my tuition structured the same way as I run lessons. So for example, if I have a 4-hour camp, a 4-hour camp would equal a month's tuition. Same thing with the practice packets. If I have 4 video lessons, that would equal a month's tuition. So it just keeps things simple, and I don't have to figure out a whole lot out.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. And do the parents understand that?
Yeah. My tuition overall is a program, so it includes a bunch of stuff, and that's just part of what it includes.
Okay. So the parents already pay for this because they kind of pay during the summer, but you're not actually teaching. You're providing this practice.
Right. So this year I actually made a huge change in my tuition structure, and I changed it where the tuition was for 10 months. Right. And so, I couldn't be more thankful for making this change this year out of all years. Because in June and July, they're not going to have any tuition payments because everything's already been paid for, which is a huge benefit to them because they get that 2-month break. And I know some of them are probably feeling very thankful for that right now.
But that means you have to monitor your own income.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I put them in separate savings.
Yeah, okay. Because you'll get no income during that period of time. But
right.
You've already got the income earlier on.
Yeah,
so you charge a little bit more each month.
Yeah, exactly. So each month I set aside the summer camp portion of the income into a separate savings account.
Wow, you'd have to be very diligent doing that. It would be so easy to not do that, I think. That makes a lot of sense. I tend to charge 10 months when I do monthly recurring billing as well, and for exactly that same reason. There's nothing stopping teachers, though, potentially just keeping a recurring subscription going all the way through the year to make it super simple for parents. You don't have to stop or start credit card billing. It just rolls on over, just like a gym membership, I guess.
Yeah.
As long as you are providing stuff during that month, or they know what's expected, I think. Great. And so we've talked a bit about scheduling. Really, it's up to the teachers, I guess, how this will work in their studio. If they do it on a weekend or weekday, or the students just choose their own time if they're taking a recorded lesson with them. Do you tend to, if they're doing something like your practice packets, do you tend to expect them, okay, everyone on Monday, you're going to be doing this? Or is it just by Friday, you need to have done this? How does that work?
I think the best thing is just have like a little follow-up. If it's a practice packet, it's a recorded thing. So it's just nice to communicate and just say, hey, have you done this yet? Have you watched this? Or how's it going? Are you, just a little follow-up. It doesn't have to be anything big. Because again, if the purpose of doing that is to take a break, you want to take a break.
Right. Yep. Fair enough. And can you actually communicate and send those reminders and questions to students through Tonara?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. That's what I love about Tonara is you can like go straight to the student. You don't have
Right.
to have the middle.
The parents being
Yeah,
annoyed by it
yeah,
all. Yeah. Of course, wouldn't work for your under 12s or the kids that don't have phones and things, but perhaps they can have
right.
family devices. I know
Yeah.
Tonara works on all devices, so maybe that's another option.
Hmm.
Wonderful. And what do you use to set this up with parents? Do you just communicate with them by email
Hmm.
generally? Yep.
Yes, I email is great. Some parents aren't great at email, so I do have I use Remind, which is a group text website that works really well. A lot of school teachers use that, and it sends out a big group text. And the benefit is when they reply, it's not replying back to a group; it's just
Mm,
to you. So you can have it set to respond within the app, or you can have it set to respond back to your number as an actual text. And then I also have a private Facebook group for my parents. And
right.
so that's another, I love having that because it shows you how many people seen the message.
Ah,
So
right.
it'll list who has seen it. And so then
Yep.
if I see those who haven't seen it, then I can do a follow up with them.
Yeah, super. And look, I think we've got to tell people about something I'm very excited about. And this is the first time I'm mentioning it on the podcast. And that is that I've been working really hard in the background recently to create a marketplace for music teachers to sell their resource to other music teachers. And it's called the Top Music Marketplace. And the fabulous Jennifer, who I'm speaking to today, is one of our inaugural sellers on the marketplace. So thank you very much for jumping in and offering your products there. The great thing is that Jennifer has uploaded a number of her camp programs to the Top Music Marketplace. So can you just tell people a quick bit about what they're likely to see there and what they could grab when they're on the marketplace?
Yeah, so if you're looking for something to do online for an online camp, I do have my practice workshop in there. I have also a conducting basics camp that would work really
Oh,
well for
cool.
online. Yeah, I have a music in the movies camp that can be adapted to online. It's really fun in person, but that one you can do. I would love to see somebody do like a quarantine piano lesson movie out of that one.
I like it.
Yeah. So it definitely could be adapted. And then I have my stop motion camp in there and a superhero camp. But some of those, like those two, I would wait for an
Mm.
in person.
Right. Or do some serious rethinking, retooling of them.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier, it just saves so much time. You can go and grab Jennifer's practice. We've been talking about the practice packets and those ideas. You can just go and grab them and use them straight away in your studio. It's going to save you heaps of time. Instead, you can focus on just letting your parents and students know about it, scheduling it, bang, done. You just have to do some recording, I would imagine. I also want to let you know that we've got another teacher, Carol, who's got a number of her programs on there. There's some crazy cool, like there's Jedi Knights camp programs, all these great themes that you guys have come up with. So jump on the Top Music Marketplace, topmusicmarketplace.com. We'll put a link in the show notes as well. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Is there anything that we've forgotten to mention in our discussion?
Um, Probably just one other thing I want to mention regarding online. So I mentioned that you can do live and then you can do recording and then a mix of both. Just because you do live doesn't mean you can't do a follow up with recording. Think of recordings can be a flipped lesson or
Mm,
follow up, where they can either watch a recording first and then you can meet together live, or the opposite. So it could work either way. Another thing when you're doing online is use features that your platform allows you. So, for example, my favorite is Zoom, which allows you to screen share. You could do games. It opens up a whole world with screen share.
mm,
And then also Zoom has what's called breakout rooms. So you can literally put students in individual rooms. They could partner up with 2 or 3 other students in a room and then have them collaborate together and then bring them all back in, together and talk about what you were, you know,
or
collaborating on.
show off what they did, or
Right. So there's
yeah.
a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, great ideas, and I like that mix because I've seen our students, our children here doing the remote learning, and part of it's live, part of it's recorded and
Mhm.
part of it's doing the written work. And I think that's a really good mix. So
Yes.
to have both your recorded lessons and then jump in, okay, every Monday or however you work it, at this time, we're going to go live. And that builds the community as well and just reminds kids that they're not alone and they're doing it with their friends and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, great advice. So where can people find out more about you and all the awesome things that you do?
Well, I'm over at musiceducatorresources.com, and I do talk about adapting with online lessons and online camp, and even adapting games and activities online there as well.
You provide fantastic resources, so do go and check those out. You can also catch her in our Top Member Pro forums. You can grab the Tonara discount while you're there and head over to the marketplace to have a look at Jennifer's camp programs. Super cool to have you, and thanks so much for all that you're doing for teachers, and great to connect with you again.
Yes, thanks for having me. Summer's a fun subject to talk about.
Yeah, and you've got all the experience, so thanks so much again. See you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Jennifer. I always enjoy catching up with her. And you can contact her and ask questions and things in our member forums at topmusicpro.com, as she's one of our expert teachers and always giving away fantastic value to our members. And remember to head to topmusicmarketplace.com to download and explore any of Jennifer's and our other teachers' programs that are uploaded there. As I mentioned in the episode, this is one of the first times I've been mentioning this publicly. It's been an ongoing project for me for a year at least now, and we're just starting to release our products and get more and more sellers on there. So take the chance to go and have a look over there. And if you indeed would like to become a seller, then there's a link at the bottom of the page. You can actually create your own shop in the marketplace and start selling your digital goods to my audience when we launch more formally in July and August. Also, don't forget that you can grab a Top Music Pro membership for just $10 for the first month if you're listening to this in May 2020 over at topmusicpro.com. And a reminder too that we recently released some new discounts for our members, including 20% off all Music Notes purchases. That is not available anywhere else and a fantastic deal. I can't tell you how happy I am that we were able to arrange that for our members. And also things like 25% off Tonara as an ongoing discount. That's another exclusive for us too if you use Tonara. And also lots of other discounts on courses, sheet music, and other software. So next week on the podcast, we've got a very special guest from Brisbane, Australia. Her name is Christy, and she is called The Flute Coach. And the reason I've asked her on the show next week is to unpack the business model that she's been able to create for herself as a teaching studio owner that doesn't do any teaching. How does that actually work? Well, we're going to unpack the full process and dive into the details next week. I look forward to seeing you and being in your ears then. I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Topcast from topmusic.co. I'll speak to you soon. For more information about this episode and to find out how to enhance your own teaching, visit topmusic.co. You'll find everything you need for your studio, from lesson plans to cheat sheets, quick win teaching ideas, and guides on how to build your teaching business. Plus, you'll be connected to a global community of the world's top music teachers. And when you're ready, join hundreds of other teachers around the world by becoming a Top Music Pro member and get access to all our bonus content and flagship courses. And don't forget to follow topmusic.co on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. That's all for today. We'll see you in the studio.